Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you on this daily Hindu analysis video. In the morning these videos come, in the evening the MCQ lessons they come. So both lessons you need to follow religiously, and here we are discussing these editorials and facts, and in the evening we revise these current affair issues from all the important sources. So let's start the lesson. Pocket News app is trending on Google Play, you can download that. And regarding these courses, the descriptions are given below the video, and you can call on these numbers, and the website address is given. The chat section is available here. PDF you will get here on this Facebook group, and you will also find the Telegram channels link there. You can follow me on Instagram too, and two words here. And first article by M. Suresh Babu, important for GS paper 2 and 3. A very important fact and a comment on institutions and market issue. You see, he is citing two Nobel laureates here, and he is telling the importance that what is the role of the institutions and how they enable a smooth working in the economy, and the humans and the economy, they are connected with the bridge of institutions, and the market works on the right information. And what is the problem today with the Indian economy? Nobel laureate Oliver Williamson pondered over an important question around 25 years ago, and that was the time when we were going through the starting phase of economic liberalization. You see, he asked, why are the ambitions of economic development practitioners and reformers so often disappointed? Why they see failures of these suggestions? Because they do not have authority. They are just called in expert panels, and their suggestions are heavily ignored by the people who have positions, who have authority, and experts are not sitting on the highest positions. Mainly the political appointees, political people, they are sitting there, and that's a typical thing, especially in our country. So three important possible answers were there. Like, the development policymakers and reformers are congenital optimists. In all the schemes we see one thing is similar. They are heavily optimistic in every announcement, and they propose a scheme, they propose an improvement, they propose a change as this is a kind of a panacea, and all the problems are going to be solved. The kind of statistics they give, the estimates they give, they all look very positive, because there is a kind of escape from those mental struggles, those scrutinies, analysis where things may go wrong. They do not go into those kind of scrutinies, and just because these things are politically important too, so they show a lot of optimism regarding that. So that's a issue. Second, good plans are regularly defeated by those who occupy strategic positions. As I told you, there are no experts most of the times on the highest positions, and they decide finally about things. So that's why they defeat a lot of things according to the political adjustments. Next, intermediate answer is that institutions are important yet are persistently neglected in the planning process. Institutions. When I attended an important seminar where a lot of economic experts were sitting, and they came from all the countries, especially from the countries of US, Russia, and some European countries, which are the most developed countries, and all of them, they were in a kind of a consensus in this thought that institutions are the most crucial things in democracy. Parties may go wrong, governments may go wrong, and they all in a need of a particular system where professional working is there, and that is autonomous. Political interference is not there, and individual responsibility is not there, and the political interference is also not there. So pure professional working is there in that institution, and that is dedicated for the sector there. So the institutions like RBI, CSO, Planning Commission, or you may say Niti Aayog now, those are the institutions which are the most important one in India. And RBI's role has been really great, and it had taken India sailing through all the problems of economic liberalization, then 2008 crisis, and we are sailing, and economy was growing very fast. But now deep troubles are there, and the main attack is on the autonomy of RBI, and the decision making process, that is also hindered here. after the independence phase, a lot of changes were done, but never this kind of a situation was there where important, crucial, meritorious people were chosen for the job, and they resigned from the top posts and who were linked to RBI. What are the reasons? And regarding the veracity of the data, that is a huge question today, because a lot of optimism we see, and especially the role of media, which show all bright things and maybe over positivity they want to pose there, but the reality is way more different, and that's why the kind of a different ground level situation we all are going through, and that's why they are bound to accept the economic slowdown now. So these things are political always. So many people will say that this is a kind of a language of opposition, but this is not the case. There is a very subtle difference in the opposition agendas and the questioning of the experts, because economy, you cannot hide things. It's a dynamic and practical topic. So here data tell everything, the statistics tell everything, and if the data and statistics are questionable, they are suppressed, then there is a really deep problem there. So opposition will want to take all kinds of advantages where anything is put up as a question to the government, so they will take it up very easily. But we cannot ignore the important questioning of the experts, the suspicions they have, and when they see any anomaly in the working, then certainly they will ask a lot of things. And now almost all the economic experts, they raise many issues, and if we compare these things with a situation where a lot of promises were made, then really concerning situation is there, because there was not any huge negative factor which could have triggered this kind of problem. In 2008 it was a crisis, in 1991 it was a huge decision of economic liberalization, but those kind of triggers are not there today. Although GST was implemented and that was necessary, but the implementation problems were there, and demonetization was the most questionable thing, and those were all intentional, means the problems were not there automatically, and according to some allegations these are intentional issues, and these are the classic cases of mismanagement of the economy, and that's why we are struggling with the different phase. And today it's a kind of a phase where all the sectors are struggling a lot, demand and supply, this is totally disturbed, and the automobile sector, the flamboyant sector of the economy, that is going through the worst phase. NPA crisis is unmanageable. Now a recent example, the PMC, the Punjab Maharashtra Bank, Cooperative Bank, the kind of developments we are observing, these are really scary, and many banks are actually facing that kind of crisis. So any kind of decision we may see in near future regarding those banks also. And you see, according to many experts and some revealed issues by former directors of some banks and all, that NPA crisis is not managed till now, and which the people who failed, the corporations, the companies who failed in repaying those loans, they are still supported, and political pressures are there on the banks, and that is why intentionally some problems are being created, and these are continuing with this phase. So if these things are true, if these allegations are true, then really a scary situation is there, and the consequences and the present situation, these problems give a kind of a proof of all the allegations there. So we cannot be sure of those allegations, but the ground level situation is indicating towards those problems. Now here the sharp attack is there on the government, that the way they are trying to bulldoze over the autonomy of RBI especially, which is a most important institution in this country. Here the writer is talking about that, and when in the starting he cites Oliver Williamson there, and he gave 3 possible answers to that question. The writer says that these all 3 answers, they assume relevance in the context of India's recent economic performance. Means institutions, they are having a lot of troubles, the autonomy is being eroded, and good plans are defeated by the people on the top position, and policymaker reformers are too optimistic here, and market failures You see, market failures are a reality. Means markets may boom, markets may fail. There is no guarantee. You must see the conditions on every scheme, like the mutual fund shares, that all these things are subjected to market risks. So market is always risky. Its failures, they may be possible. So that is why institutions' role in shaping the expectations and decision making, that's the most important aspect. And that is why we need institutions. And institutions are needed to strengthen these foundational pillars, which are prerequisite for markets to work. Here, attempt has been to steadily erode the central bank's independence. 3 steps he's talking about, the 3-pronged strategy which is being deployed here. First, RBI was bypassed on matters relating to currency. The kind of demonetization decision we saw, there a lot of alerts were given by RBI, but those things were unheeded. Next, second, its role as regulator of the banking sector. And after the NPA situation, heavily the role was questioned, and RBI was under a circle of suspicion, and these all things went negative to RBI's authority. So one more point to interfere in the autonomy issues. Third, finally, its reserves were siphoned off. 1.76 lakh crore rupees were taken, and those were contingency funds also. Means economy may go into trouble. Now after the attack of Saudi Aramco, there can be any kind of situation. Means we may have to spend a lot on oil and something like that. So in those kind of phases, this money was extremely important. But these all things are taken by government. So with these 3 huge blows, RBI's autonomy and the working is certainly affected very negatively. Next, today only major policy tool which is available with RBI, that is cutting the repo rates, and that is being used heavily since February. 110 basis points, they are this much change is there. Means 1.1% change has been there. They have lowered these rates because this is the phase where expansionary policy they need to deploy, and they will lower the interest rates there. So this is the only workable tool available today. Other things were also available, but their RBI's autonomy is heavily interfered with, and only thing that it could do something with policy rates, and that is being done. Next, these all things provide a classic case of an institution's weakening, leading to questions on its role and credibility. Next, markets. Next issue is the markets. Markets work on information and expectations. You see, economy is a dynamic and practical topic. Again, I'm telling you, everything depends on information. Suppose you do not have any data regarding the companies and shares and the business going on. Would you invest in any company? Would you buy any share? No, because the information is everything in economy. And there are serious questions on information and the veracity of the data. That is the biggest example that a deep problem is going on, and those all things went unheeded, and those all things were suppressed in the starting. But you cannot hide things in economy for a longer period of time, and that's why they are bound to accept all these things. And now emergency measures are being taken. Still, the demand side problems are not being addressed, and this is very difficult today to address those things. These things will take a lot of time today, and today also they need a lot of dedication and professionalism, and that is not observed even today. The issue of Planning Commission and Niti Aayog. Every time when we have discussions regarding Niti Aayog, all the experts say that Planning Commission was a highly important body and a lot of responsibility was given to it. Planning was everything in India till 2012. After that, a kind of ignorance that we have seen, and nobody talked about planning. People forgot about the planning today. We do not have midterms goals, and the accountability factor is lost in a way. Niti Aayog replaced Planning Commission. A huge announcement was there, and many things were discussed and proposed, and they said that it will be the most workable institution here in this country. But today what we see about Niti Aayog is nothing in comparison to Planning Commission. if we compare the authority, if we compare the command, if we compare the responsibility, if we compare the importance in the economy, then Niti Aayog is nothing in front of Planning Commission. And a heavily ignored institution, you may say, it has lost the space for mid-term appraisal of plans and policies. It never discussed the planning. They started to talk about the long-term plans like 15 years, 20 years, but all these things vanished with the time, and nobody debated these things in the media. Other important security issues are in front of us. Nobody actually discussed economy with that much intensity, and that is why these are the consequences that we are observing today. Next Nobel laureate, Douglas North, the writer is citing here. He opined that institutions are the rules of the game in a society, or more formally, these are the humanly devised constraints that shape human interaction. Human interaction with the economy, that is enabled by the institutions only. So losing the autonomy with the institution, it costs a lot, and that cost we are paying today. The kind of alerts RBI gave before demonetization, before proper GST implementation, and regarding banks and all, these things were heavily ignored, and the management of all those issues, that became a huge problem. And that's why the writer said, classic case of institutions weakening and leading to questions. So today, who is gonna believe the proper decisions of RBI? Many questions will be raised before any kind of execution, because everything has become questionable, and politically people may support everything, but when it comes to economy, then extremely concerned people are, and the market is extremely concerned, industrialists are extremely concerned, and they want to confirm everything now, because their businesses, they depend on any decision making today. And that's why they were very much elated when the corporate tax reforms were announced. But are things going in a right direction, or these are announcements out of some pressures? It looks like a lot of pressure is there, emergency situation is there, and that's why these kind of announcements, they are there. Government has lost 1.45 lakh crore rupees in that corporate tax adjustment, and it was the time when they needed those funds the most, but still they are bound to do so. So these things are telling a different story there. So it is useful to focus on understanding and reforming the forces that keep bad institutions in place, especially the political institutions and the distribution of political power. Reforms are needed in these areas, and if we talk about solutions, this is the first solution there. Remove that interference, the political interference from the economy. Otherwise, nobody can stop the economy from delving into a crisis. So this requires understanding the complex relationship between political institutions and the political equilibrium, and the autonomy factor, that is important because professionalism is there in those institutions. If the professionalism is lost and that is replaced by political appointees and the political ways, then you cannot have any solution. And when it comes to economy, then everything is visible. You cannot hide those things. You can hide everything in a country, things which are political, the decisions which are political, the kind of consequences in the society, in any kind of developmental process, welfare schemes, you can hide a lot of things. But in economy, things you cannot hide. Maybe there can be forces who would try to manipulate the datas, but the consequence and the results in the economy, that will tell the whole story. So this is all in this article, and the concerning situation is there. Out of these things, you may write a mains question here, that what is the importance of institutions, and what are the relations of institutions and market, and how in a challenging phase, why we should keep the institutions alive, and what is the consequence of interference in the professional decision making and autonomy issues of the institutions. So this is a very relevant question, this is a very relevant topic today. And now we move towards the second issue, OIC, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. 57 countries are there. You can see the green ones are the members and blue ones are the observer states. They have said to India that rescind the actions on Article 370 and these human rights issues, you address them, and the decision of interfering with the land rights issues in Kashmir and all, they all must be reversed. So this is a kind of a problematic statement by OIC. You see, OIC is the same institution which invited India last year, and Sushma Swaraj went there, and that thing was opposed by Pakistan, but still we managed to get there and we said our things. But still, as usual, OIC supported Pakistan there in the Kashmir issue. And now when Iran, Pakistan, these all Islamic countries, they are coordinated, then they are also taking a strong stand there. And you see, outside this OIC group, India is the biggest country for Muslims. The population of Muslims means around 15 to 20% are the Muslims in this country. So this is the biggest number in a country outside the OIC. So the relation with India is very unique, and there in the Kashmir issue, things are extremely sensitive, and OIC talking in this language is really concerning. In the past, it has supported Pakistan in this issue, and we have protested against a lot of things. But in these times, when some questions are there and it looks like this thing is difficult for India to relax these norms, restrictions, and after 50 days also we are not able to give total freedom there. So this may be concerning. So many articles will come on this issue. It's not a small one. One more article is there in on the Kashmir issue today, but you should read that yourself because a lot we have discussed. That is the case of kids growing there in these times of fear. So that's really concerning. Next, we had to discuss about the strategic partnership model, SNP model, where a private player from India will be there and a foreign company will be there. There will be a cooperation there, and technology transfer will happen, and they will establish the manufacturing units in India, and they will manufacture maybe some aircrafts, maybe some submarines and all. So project 75I is a kind of a project where 6 submarines are to be developed, and we gave expression of interest in month of June. So Swedish company Saab was there. Now after reading all these details and all, after after going into these discussions, Saab has pulled out of the contest, and on the place of Saab we have accepted South Korea's Daewoo company's stake there. So Daewoo is a shipbuilding and marine engineering company, and apart from Daewoo, there are 4 other companies: the Naval Group of France, Navantia of Spain, and Rosoboron Export by Russia, and TKMS by Germany. So these 5 players are now in this race, and it is going to be a 45,000 crore rupees deal to build 6 submarines there. So very advanced submarines will be there, and these are extremely sensitive issues because these are related to our security issues, and we cannot trust anyone there. A few years back, some issues were there where some details were revealed by a Australian giant about the Indian submarines. So that became a important issue. Now this strategic partnership model, you must remember, it's an important one, and technology transfer is must in this model. And you must be missing the Anil Ambani's company there in Rafale issue. That was also a strategic partnership model. So a private company from India is given this allowance, and a foreign company is on the other side. That foreign company will bring the technology to India, and they will establish units there. Okay, so this is important. Next issue, last year 11th of September, government announced a helpline for people who want to quit smoking and tobacco use. So quit today, this was the helpline. After 1 year, they saw that 69,000 callers were there, and average age was 27 years, and they wanted to quit tobacco use. So these are good things. Important is that this is managed by an institution, National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, NIMHANS. So they may ask you about these details. Means it was announced in 2018. This is working, and from Karnataka they are giving these details, and NIMHANS is the institution monitoring that. And this is the helpline number. Quit today. Next, Sri Salem Dam. You see the picture here. It is on the Krishna River, and it's a simple issue in the monsoon times. But you must remember, many issues are going on. So the basin area, you should see what are the tributaries. God River is a tributary of Bhim River. Bhim River itself is a tributary of Krishna, and this is Krishna. And other important tributaries from the south or the right side is Ghatprabha, Malprabha, and Tungbhadra here. Tungbhadra is created by this Bhadra River and Tunga River. Bhadra Reservoir is here. This is Tunga River. This is Tungbhadra Dam. And here on the Krishna River, it is Almaty Dam. Krishna is rising from Mahabaleshwar in Maharashtra. Okay, Mahabaleshwar. And Sri Salem project is there here. Then Nagarjuna Sagar project. These all are on Krishna River, and it is meeting the Bay of Bengal in this region. Next, Kolkata will organize a display on Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar's writings, and as he was a very proficient person in a literature of Hindu, Bengali, and other important writings he completed in his lifetime, and he was the most prominent campaigner for Hindu widow remarriage. You see, in 1856, the Widow Remarriage Act came. 1856. Lord Dalhousie personally finalized the bill, and it was protested a lot by Indians because they said that it is our tradition. Why Lord Dalhousie is finalizing this issue? But before him, Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar tried a lot of things, and he campaigned a lot for Hindu widow remarriage. It was a very problematic situation at that time. The high caste Kulin Brahmins were there in Bengal, and they could marry many young girls at that time. And after these deaths of their husbands, mainly these old people, they were bound to go into some prostitutions and all, and that was a very derogatory phase for females. So Widow Remarriage Act was extremely important, and Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar was the most important campaigner there. So you must read about these things. UPSC asked about these details many times. Okay, so rest of the details we will ask in the evening session, call money rate and all. So everything is given in the PDF. I will ask you many questions there. Thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Sani.